Hi, Ellie.
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Good. It's great to be with you. Where are you right now?
So I am in the conference room in my building because my little one's upstairs taking a nap. And my dad's
Ah,
here. So there's no way she can wake up screaming and interrupt us. So we're good.
well, that's good. That's smart for you to go to that conference room. That's great. It's so
Yeah.
great to see you. You look wonderful.
So do you.
Thank you. Well, I think it's extremely fitting for us to be here to talk about our performance that's going to be on Opera is On in these next few days. And I have so many wonderful thoughts about our performance that we had together, notwithstanding the fact that you were nearly about to give birth at the time. And I just remember what an incredible star you were during that entire process, how amazing you did. Even, I think you were 7 months into your
No,
pregnancy.
strike. No, I was 24 weeks pregnant at the last one, which is like almost 6 months.
6 months. All right, you know what? I was a month off. All right. And in fact, if the price is right, I went over. Okay. I went over by a month. But let me ask you this. Manon really is a tour de force opera. And as you know, as Des Grieux, he's got 5 big scenes to sing in.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is Manon has 7 different scenes that she has to really land well.
Right.
Huge and all different. You have in the first act, you've got to be like a light, high coloratura.
Right.
The second, you've got to be a lyric. Then you go back to being some sort of high dramatic coloratura soprano. Then you got to be a full lyric for 2 acts. And then like a super full lyric at the end of the opera. How do you manage that as a vocalist?
So I would say that was the most challenging part of the role, not only coming into the production late. So I only had a few months to actually learn it. It's not a role I had ever studied before.
Okay.
I think I sang the gavotte and I sang the duet, the Sans Sulpice duet at a grad school recital. But I would say the major challenge was stamina. I know Beverly Sills, when she did it, she called it the Isolde of opera, the role of Manon, just because it is relentless and you never get a break. And actually, she did get a few 10-minute breaks here and there, which we cut. So for me, it ended up going bam, 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 bam. I mean, literally, there was not time to use the restroom during an intermission, just because.
Well, that's good for support. That's good for support. You're more conscious of your support, especially with baby on board.
Right. So that is also, that was an interesting challenge of too. As you get bigger, the breath support, you have to get it from somewhere else. So really the challenge was you couldn't give too much at the beginning, although it's a huge audience and it's a huge orchestra. So the parts that are lighter, you can't sing off the voice, but you also can't hammer it into it because there's no way you'll make it through the evening.
Of course.
It is surprising what humans are capable of, though. Sometimes I surprise myself that I was alive. I mean, not figurative. I mean, in the show, obviously she's dead, but that I could still phonate and speak at the end of the night just because it is such a range of all the different styles of singing. So, for example, certain places, some of the top, I had to just say, you know what, I'm just going to kind of sing this as light as I can, just because I knew I had some heft coming up and I didn't. If you squeak out the top and hammer into it, your low is gone. So I had to navigate throughout the whole performance where I could, let this go, and where I really had to concentrate on singing into the middle and into the low of the tessitura.
In comparison, what style of music would you say Massenet lends itself most to from all the other things that you've done? And how did you call upon it when you were performing?
Okay, so I am going to defer to another great artist for this question because it actually answers it. So San Francisco Opera was amazing, and they actually lined up a telephone call with Renee Fleming when we learned out that I was going to do this. So I asked her that question because it actually applies to her also. And she was saying that Massenet has a way of writing music that is good for the voice. So you really think about it as the line. It's written so well, even though it has a dramatic tessitura, there are a lot of leaps, there are a lot of jumps, it's written in a healthy way, and it actually requires all of your knowledge, right? So Mozart is very, it's very square, and you have to be in the confines of a box, whereas Puccini has a lot of punch and it requires some screaming. Verdi is bel canto, and Massenet has all of it. I want to bring up a fun moment that's, I just remembered was my favorite moment from our entire production. And it was after our Sitzprobe.
Oh my.
People may not know that Michael is an incredible pilot. And we got in a Cessna plane and flew up to Napa to have dinner after our Sitzprobe of Manon.
That's true.
It was
That's true.
fabulous. That's also a way to relieve stress. I mean, that was a first for me.
No, it's true. Flying for me is a good way to relax. And just kind of a reminder of something, you know, I have to always think about now as a performer every day, is that when you fly the plane, all you do is fly the plane. You can't think of anything else. And sometimes as performers, I'm sure you get plagued by this sometimes too, we obsess about little stuff. Our minds go elsewhere besides performing sometimes, and then we don't do our best. And so what flying always reminds me of is just keep my mind's eye on flying the plane. So when I'm singing, just keep my mind's eye on literally doing my job at hand, singing beautiful music and communicating to the audience. And that's all.
All right, Michael. So the media depicts you as a bit of a risk taker, as we just talked about, being a pilot, etc. How do you feel about that label? And does it help you relate to this character who seems to go to many lengths to piss off his father?
Oh, well, I think, you know, the media, let's be careful. The media doesn't always report correctly. So what I said was, I'm a calculated risk taker, is what the line I always use. So that's the word that gets in there. People often, as you said, say that I like to take risks, but I always say I take them with calculation. Okay. And I think that breeds the greater potential for success. And so what's a calculated risk? A calculated risk means I know that there is the chance that something can go wrong if I take a decision, but at the same time, I'm very planned and aware of what I need to do to have success in the endeavor that I'm about to begin. So that's why I calculate my risks. And so as a calculated risk taker, as de Grieux, he is really that. He's not just a risk taker. He does cross his father, but he's also a smart man. De Grieux is not, he's not a dumb guy. He wants to chart his own course. And I think it's just luck that he found a person like Manon, who took his breath away and stole his heart. And it's a calculated risk to enter the priesthood and enter the abbey and do something against the family. But yet he's willing to do that because he has a calling to something beyond himself. He has a calling to love. He has a calling to God. He has a calling to something that is not of money and not of possessions and not of whatever his family is about. So I get it. I understand as a human being what the connection is.
You are probably, well, I don't want to say you're my absolute favorite tenor to ever work with, but you are such a great colleague as far as you were so giving. It was never about like, I'm the star, Michael Fabiano. I found you would always hand it to me. And I felt that the companionship, it made me be a better performer, knowing that you had my back all the time.
So Ellie, you know, when I was getting on this call today, I was thinking we really go back a long time to 2005, when you were in your 4th year of studies at the Academy of Vocal Arts, and I was a young little fishy then coming in.
Yeah.
When you met me and when I was there overlapping with you for 1 year, what did you think of me? And what was going on in your mind at the time?
Michael, you have always been such an individual. So you came in, I wouldn't call you a nerd, but you were you knew every recording, you knew everything about opera. You were such a super fan. And for us, it was so refreshing just because your personality, when we were in school, it was like boot camp. It was like opera boot camp. And so by the time we've reached the end, we kind of feel like we we know what's going on in the opera world. And you came in and you were just this unique nugget, and you were so young. You were the youngest kid by years and years and years to come into the school. And I thought it was a breath of fresh air. So I think we gave you, we hazed you a little bit.
A little.
In a nice way though. And you know, you were still the same person as you were then. And I think that's so refreshing. You're so intelligent, you're so nice, and you're a teddy bear. I just remember this teddy bear of a kid. I mean, just so.
Got all this hair on my chest.
We don't even have to go into that, but if you'd like to bring it up. No, I just thought you were just lovely to come into the school. There's no one like you. And I got a kick out of you then, and I still get a kick out of you now.